Hey guys, it's Miss Cáceres. This week we'll be talking science. Our topic for this week is, that's right, you guessed it, what is the water cycle? Did you know that there is no new water on Earth? It all gets recycled and reused in a process that we call the water cycle. The water cycle is a way that water moves all around the Earth. It never stops and doesn't really have a beginning or an end. It's like a big circle, hence the term cycle. Here is an example of the water cycle. This diagram shows to you the different types or the different stages in a water cycle. As you can see, we have clouds, which eventually are formed through evaporation, and then they have what we call precipitation, which usually comes back in the form of snow and ice, or runoff. It falls usually into lakes and other bodies of waters like ocean, rivers, and seas. Some of that water is seeped into the ground, which is then known as groundwater. And there's also a stage that isn't really considered part of the water cycle, but it's there, and it's known as transpiration, which is when plants give us water. So we're going to go a little deeper so you guys can understand. The water cycle stages. For us to understand the water cycle, the best thing we can do is divide it into four main stages. The four stages of this cycle consist of evaporation, condensation, precipitation, and collection. Let us understand each stage one by one. Evaporation. Evaporation is when the sun heats up water in seas, rivers, lakes, ocean, and glaciers. It turns into water vapor or steam and rises up into the air or atmosphere. Water is also evaporated through plants and soil through a process called transpiration. The water vapor cannot be seen with the naked eyes. Did you know, fun fact, ocean contributes about 80% of total water vapor in the air. So here's a small example of transpiration. It's when plants provide us with water, which then becomes condensation and forming clouds. And the same happens with evaporation, forming clouds through condensation. Stage number 2, condensation. As the water vapor rises higher into the air or atmosphere, it cools and condenses. Condensation means that the water changes from a gas or water vapor or steam to liquid or water droplets, forming the clouds in the sky. Clouds contain millions of tiny droplets of water. My friends and I form clouds in the sky, says the little droplet. Stage number 3, precipitation. The water keeps condensing to form clouds, but when there is too much accumulation or collection of water in these clouds, the clouds become heavy. This means the air can no longer hold this much amount of water, and the water starts to fall back to the earth in the form of rain. If the atmosphere is cold enough, the form of precipitation changes from rain to snow and sleet. And finally, stage 4, known as collection or water storage. In the last stage, rain or melted snow flows back into water bodies like seas, rivers, lakes, and glaciers. Rainwater is also soaked up by the soil through a process called infiltration. Some of the water also runs off the surface or seeps in the ground, which may later be seen as groundwater. Eventually, the water reaches the oceans, which are the largest water bodies and the biggest source of water vapor. So, I think that a little mini project is in need, so you guys are going to be doing this. You're going to need very simple materials to do it. You have different options. I'd like you guys to have Play-Doh ready of different colors like blue, brown, green, yellow, and orange. You're also going to need a piece of cardboard. In my opinion, you can do this by reusing a piece of cardboard that you have at home already, or even you reusing a pizza box. You can just take the top or the center and cut out the form of a circle. And as you guys can see, using these different materials, we're going to create our own water cycle illustration or little project. Now, if you guys do not have Play-Doh or plasticina, as we say in Spanish, available to you, you can also just use markers. But you have to be very careful because as you can see in this image, for example, here, this one is not as visible as we'd like it to be. So make sure that you have colored markers and a really good black marker. So that's it for me, guys. That's what we're doing for science this week. Enjoy. Can't wait to see you in class. Bye.